Let's go, everyone. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the LA Poker Roundup. As always, I'm your host, Ty Dobberton, along with my co host, Derek Kwan. And this
What's up, everyone?
week, we have a special surprise guest for you all. I didn't even know about this guest until about 20 minutes ago. We have Patrick Leonard, the man, the myth, the legend, right here on the show to talk about his recent big win at the Venetian and some of the unfortunate uncomfortableness that went with it. Some of the things that went down. So welcome to the show, Patrick.
Hey, what's up? Never actually played poker in LA, but I've always wanted to. So
Oh, please,
maybe this is my somehow destiny to end up there.
absolutely, come on down. If you're in Vegas, it's like a 4 hour drive. You can. I'm sure there's people. I'm sure you know a ton of the folks around. You can get in here. We've got a great tournament series going on right now. The only downside is that the big one is a quantum. But if you just ignore it and pretend it's like a 2K, it's palatable. It's not bad. All right. So we got a great show lined up for all of you today. What we were going to do, and what we will still do, was kind of like this time last year. It's kind of my second favorite time of year. It's rules season. They're having the TDA. Mr. Savage is out with all the tournament directors discussing all of the ins and outs and the details of the rules. You know me. I love a good set of rules. So we're going to go through that, and we were actually going to use something that happened with Patrick this past weekend and some of his tweets to kind of set up the scene for some of these discussions. So instead of us doing that, we have the pleasure of having Patrick on himself to talk about his win. So first off, congratulations on the win down at the
Yeah,
Venetian.
good job, buddy.
It's a
Good job.
beautiful room.
Yeah.
And so why don't we just let you kind of describe what kind of the lead up situations, what's been going on this weekend, and just in general, because to an outsider who doesn't play poker, this might sound ridiculous, right? Like, hey, man, these guys are arguing over just seeing their chips. What the heck? But why don't you go ahead and tell the story for us?
Well, I'm surprised how much traction it actually got. Like I think on all the clips, there's like 2 million plus views, which in the time for me, it didn't feel like it was that intense. It felt like it was just like this one interaction or whatever. Um, and then yeah, like I logged on Twitter afterwards or X, and there was like 500,000 views straight away. And then like I checked another couple of days later, it's like 2 million views. I was like, wow, like people really care about these like small, like almost insignificant things. If you see like a really intellectually like high level
Right.
strategical clip, it might get like sometimes, I don't know, like 6K views or something. If the Venetian posted like a sick hand that two people played, it doesn't always get so many views, but just a little bit of confrontation or drama, which isn't even that much drama, it can often get infinite views, which I find always like kind of amusing.
Yeah, yeah.
It just shows that people love drama in anything, whether it be poker, wrestling, chess. Like the biggest chess stories I've heard in the last year or so is like Hans Niemann versus Magnus. It's not like some sick new move that some guy made up or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I guess it's just the same in every industry. And yeah, when I was on the outside looking into the chess situation, you just take sides really quickly, and I guess the same thing kind of happens here for a lot of people.
Yeah, I'll tell
Um,
you what, watching this clip, it has all that stuff, and content creators and people like, Game of Gold producers take note, right? This is what you just said is exactly the blueprint for a type of poker content we really need to see more of, right? I mean, just looking, I had the clip playing on mute in the background here while you were talking, and just looking at the split screen, I mean, we have everything. We have these characters, right? You got Derek, not our Derek. You got Mr. Gregory in his dark clothes and the chains with the dark glasses on, right? Hat backwards, and we've got you on the other side, kind of hunched over, looking very, if I'm just watching, you're moving around, you looking kind of, what's the word, shifty almost,
Friendly.
right? You're almost looking like
Yeah.
a Ed Norton in a Rounders kind of situation, right? So we've got characters without even sound on, right? And like you
yeah,
said, it's very easy to understand, and it's really understated this drama. So I totally get it. I totally get it. Okay.
yeah, and in the moment, I actually felt that uh, it was very uh, n- not advantageous for me, basically, to for there to be drama because I was chip leader and he was on my left. So I kind of wanted a situation where everyone was friendly. I would just raise, everyone would fold. But I thought the more the ego comes in here from both sides, the more that there's like anger or whatever. If he has like a close spot, he's probably gonna just stick it in my eye rather than just like passing it up. Like sometimes I'll play World Series event and I'll play blind versus blind against a 60-year-old lady I've been talking to for the last 2 hours. If I raise, she's probably going to fold more often, right?
Right, right.
Whereas like if I've like had my headphones on the whole time, not spoken to her and raised for the third time in a row, she might just like had enough and just go along randomly or something. It was kind of the situation which I didn't really want to happen here. I didn't want that to be drama. I didn't want that to be for everyone else in the table. They want drama to happen because they want us to collide. You know, they want us to be like an unnecessary collision in terms of like stacks.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, we
so
know our
for me, in a
buddy
moment,
Andrew sitting to your right there was absolutely hoping that would happen. Mr. Ostapchenko, he's another LA guy having a hell of a summer. We know he was waiting for that.
well, yeah. If I was outside the hand, if I was Andrew, I'd be like, wow, this is incredible. Like the chip leader and the guy in second. Like, wait, I'm trying to leverage Andrew's stack against Derek, and then Derek's taking like exception to that in a way. And then if next time I have a situation, I'm like, oh, if I raise it, he's probably going to go like a pip or too wide, you know. So now I have to like completely change my strategy up. And if I don't, if I somehow don't think about that, maybe like 10 years ago when I first started playing in Vegas, if I wouldn't think about that and I'll just keep raising, keep jamming, and not take into account that kind of meta game. Probably we would have collided more than we did, and Andrew would have been the one who would have benefited from it, you know. So in the moment, I was like, "Fuck, I don't want there to be any drama." So what I ended up doing was I just kept walking outside the room because they have in Venetian they have the stream live. It's kind of weird when you're playing, you see yourself at the same time. So I was just walking outside the room to see the stack sizes after that because I didn't want to keep. I only asked him one time, I think, in the final table actually, which is funny because the way it's interpreted from the video is that like I keep asking him and asking him and asking him. I ask him one
Yeah.
time and refuses to show me. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna ask him again because I don't want to ask him. I want to just know so I can steal his blind, you know?
Yeah, and that
It's
Um,
interesting because I actually took that away from the video too. I thought you were badgering him, but you weren't. You were intentionally trying not to. That's crazy.
yeah, it's literally this again. This is what I mean about a clip. Like, uh, so the first thing happened. The guy raised the button. The Asian guy. I don't know his exact name right now. He raised the button, and I had 9-6 offsuit, and I was contemplating whether to flat call or not. And a lot of people assume that he like open jammed. I was trying to get like a chip count with my 9-6, and everyone's like, "You're never going to call anyway. Like, why are you asking for a chip count?" Whereas he min raised, and if he has like 12 big blinds or 18 big blinds, it's a big difference because he's going to have like a big jamming range of 12 big blinds, whereas at 18, he might, be inducing wider or whatever else it may be. So I ended up not being bullied, but in my mind, I was like, wow, this looks really weird. Like Derek's made a big deal out of this. I've spent like a minute and a half on this relatively basic pre-flop fold with 9-6 offsuit. So I just said, fuck it, I'm going to call because I know it's going to look bad. And and the clip doesn't show that. The clip just moves on to like Derek and me
right,
like
right.
going back and forth, which is weird because if they just let it run out, they'll see that I actually like just decided to call basically because I knew how bad it would look. So I call the 9-6 and then the board comes and he ends up bluffing me. So
Shamed
it's
you,
actually
shamed you into the call. Jeez.
and a lot of people are like, you're never gonna call, you're never gonna call. I was like, bro, if you just watch like 10 more seconds, I end up calling 600. I call 600,000 with 9-6 offsuit, which I would never ever do, But I kind of just knew what was yeah, and I regretted that afterwards. And then the very next hand was the Derek hand,
Mm.
and the dealer had just asked him like a couple of hands earlier. You can see in the stream that he had all of his big chips at the back and the brown chips, the 25 gigs at the front. And she'd
Oh,
asked him to like change. She'd asked him to change his positions of his chips. So maybe I asked it to ask him to change the position of the chips.
so wait,
And
the brown chips are worth more, or the orange chips are worth more?
the brown chips are worth more. So I
Mm.
think I posted a screenshot a couple of times where like the brown chips are all at the front and the orange ones are at the back, and they don't go. They're not in 20s. So like the brown chips are in like a row 20. Then there's maybe like 17 oranges, so you can't really see, especially with his hands over his chips. So I was actually blind versus blind with the very next hand. So I've just defended the big blind with 9-6 offsuit, and the very next hand I'm blind versus blind with Derek, right? So I have 5-6 suited, and I'm chip leader, and Derek's second in chips. So I work out in my mind that if he has somewhere between like 12 and 24 blinds, I'm just going to open jam because I can put pressure on him and he has to call tight. And I know that he's not a loose gambling player. He like likes to be quite tight when the money goes in.
Hmm.
So I decided I'm going to jam very wide on him. But I didn't know he had 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 big blinds. And there's a big difference between 27 and 22 big blinds in this kind of situation.
Yeah, of course.
So not just is it more risk reward, but it's also more of my stack, etc. So it really takes me probably like over a minute to see how much he actually has. And then after this, I actually could jam this amount, but I work out in my mind that, wow, like if I jam here after taking this long, he's going to know that like a big part of the strong hands in my range are not going to be there. Because if I have ace jack off, I'm just going to say, okay, I don't care how much you have, I'm all in, you know. But if I have like, you know, even king seven offsuit or something. So when I take this long, I really do, to anybody with half of a poker brain, I really do have like a very weak range, and he can actually make some pretty wide calls against me when he takes out four through my range. Because it's quite obvious that I'm not acting, like I'm really trying hard to see his stack. You can see it in the clip. So I end up limping, and he raises 9-8 offsuit, which is probably the last hand you would raise blind versus blind, because it's one of those Midland ones where, you know, he's not going to make me fold jack nine queen nine. He's not going to get called by 9-5. He doesn't really achieve too much,
Right.
but he kind of knows I never have a hand to limp jam because I've taken like 2 minutes to see his stack. So he actually, I'm not sure if he does this intentionally or whatever, but he gets given a strategical advantage to isolate against me here. And then it puts me in this weird situation. Like, is he isolating me too wide because of this? And like, I'm like, am I going to let this like argument make me make some really elaborate play, you know?
Right.
Then I call, and the flop comes like queen 3-4. I check, he bets. And again, I kind of want to see his stack because I end up check raising and stacking off, which is very, very, very dicey here against the value range. And again, I can't really see his chips, and it's kind of awkward because I don't want to. If he has 5 million or 7 million, it really changes.
Right.
Because let's say I need like 35% equity to get it in against the 5 million, but I need like 46% to get it in against 7 million, then my play becomes either really good or really bad depending on his chips. Yeah. So when I just can't see his chips, it's so hard to make the correct play, you know. And when we're four-handed here playing for big money, I want to make the correct play. It's not like it's day one where your 200 big blind deep and it doesn't change that much if he has 180 or 200. Like, it's very, very delicate and sensitive to the stack sizes, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And what you're bringing up is really, really detailed and you know, intricate look at what a lot of players should and do care about, right? Because there's a lot of players who don't care as much about those things, right? A lot of players who don't do that type of analysis, and a lot of the people who watch this and think like, bro, what's the big deal? Like, yeah, it's 5 million or it's 7 million, who cares, right? Well, it matters a lot. It actually matters a ton, and this is the reason that they are talking about at the TDA, like, should we standardize? I suggested you stack in rows of 20. Should we make it a rule, right? It is. This is a reason why it's such a big deal when people use those non-standard stack sizes. You know, the people who build the towers, the people who don't know how much chips they have themselves, the people who purposefully, this is the worst, of course, are the people who purposefully will make stacks of 19 or stacks of 23 just to throw people off, right? It's like, that's not the type of poker. That's not an edge, that's an angle, right? And anyone, you know, it's our opinion on this pod that anyone who thinks otherwise of purposefully, like, the point of playing poker is to mislead people, right, with your play. But if you're purposefully misleading them in a way like that, like, hey, standard stacks are 20, you're across the table, I made mine 19, I'm going to trick you, that is not poker. That is not.
That's cheating.
That's cheating. Yeah, that is cheating.
Well, what I was trying to say is that, like, sometimes you're on a 900 table and there's 9 of you there, you're squeezed in, and let's say the Colossus in the World Series.
Yep.
It's hard to like be position yourself, whatever, and you know, especially if lots of big guys, and it can be kind of uncomfortable. I get that, but we're playing four-handed or three-handed here on the biggest table in the whole of Vegas. This Venetian table is fucking huge, and there's only 4 of us, and you have a box, and there's so much space to have your chips on one side. Like, my chips are on my left, and my hands are on my right. Like, everyone could see my chips the entire time. I don't think you need like, he was in the one seat. I don't think you need your chips right in the corner of the table and your hands there too. It's just like, I feel like we should just all be able to see everyone's chips. But I do also think the big thing we should implement in these final tables, and I've said this to PokerGo a lot this year, because I have never played PokerGo until this year. I've said to them, on the final tables, they should just view the chip counts on like a screen, which is like consistently updated, because they have it for the graphics anyway, you know? They know how much each person has. And on the TV outside the room, which is like live, you see everyone's stacks. So they should just have those stacks on the final tables, like displayed.
Yeah, they have that monster screen in the back, right? That would be fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of space you can have it. You know, there's lots of monitors. There's so much room in these places. In PokerGo as well. Like, in PokerGo, you actually play the shot clock. Here you don't play with shot clock, but in PokerGo you do. And you know, like, the chips are so, especially like they're changing every single hand with the big blind ante and his jam and re-jam. It's not like it's so static, like there's 9 of you and just one guy's raising and taking it kind of thing. So I think in big final tables, like, I think it should be electronically just there. I mean, I think in the World Series poker main event, like final table, they should just have the stacks on there where everyone can see them. Like, I think one player should maybe not know someone else's stack, like in that kind of situation. And people are like, oh, it's your duty to know everyone's stacks, but I don't see why it necessarily should be in these kind of situations.
Yep.
I think it should be as easy as possible for the players, and it's a very easy thing to do. I know in the main event they had it a few years ago, and it glitched for a second, and it like changed someone's stack to like what their hand was or something.
Oh boy.
Uh, it was like someone had 17 million, and it was like Jack Nine offsuit, and I think that's why like they've kind of gone against it for a while. But I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult
Yeah,
to
that
fix,
sounds
you
like
know?
you should fix that problem and not ruin the entire benefit. We totally agree with you, or at least I know I totally agree with you. I'm trying to remember the last time we talked about this, Derek. I'm of the opinion of the only thing I like about online poker is all of the automatic and mechanical
Yeah.
things, and in all the public information is automatic and public, and there's no worrying about it. There's no whining about it. There's no cheating or hiding. So all of the public information, bet sizes, stack sizes, who it's on, all that stuff should just be instantly available to everyone without having to waste brain space on it, without having to get in an argument about it, et cetera, right?
Yeah, and it's hard to do that early on in the
For
tournament, but
sure, for sure.
on the final table, it should be very easy to do, I think. Um, yeah.
So obviously this one worked out for you, and it sounds like we're not going to get into more strategy. You've already given us a whole lot of nice little strategy adjustment tips for playing live. Appreciate that. But I also wanted to talk about the 777 post you made, which was, now this was just kind of a difference of philosophies, you could say. But the 777 post you made, this seems like absolutely, I got really fired up when I read this post. Absolutely egregious. Absolutely. I'd really like to hear exactly what happened in this hand, because depending on how it went, I mean, I was telling Derek, if I was the TD and I came over, I would have DQ'd the person who was quote unquote hiding the chips, right? So I have that post up on the screen as well. I'm sure if you're not familiar which one it was, I don't know if you made a bunch of posts about 777, but it was with the all in and the hidden chips.
Yeah, so I remember I'm in Jesse Lomas's like 25K fantasy team, right? And it 777s is towards the end of the series. You get like big bonus points because it gets, so many people. And he made a post something like odds like chip leader in the 777s. And then like this pot ends up happening, and I post saying I just got scammed. Or I just got cheated for like the chip leads. I'm now, let's say, 20 out of 30 or something like that. I can't remember. It's along the lines of that. And then everyone was messaging like or posting saying what happened, who was it, blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm angry a bit more at myself that I allowed myself to somehow get scammed here, So I didn't want to call the guy out. It was not like it didn't at the time didn't seem like I wanted to have the drama. I just wanted to focus on the tournament,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that like after you've seen this post, which like the thing with Derek was basically nothing, and it
Right.
gets like millions of views. So if like something really crazy did happen, it can just cause so much drama. And like I wanted to just focus on playing. So I think also when you do have like a large social media following or medium social media following, a lot of people will jump on and pile on your side, and it can really hurt other people's reputations and stuff like this. So I just wanted to just focus on the tournament. So basically what happened was, I think the 777s is very shallow. So it's like a turbo tournament, end of the series. And there's like 30 people left. I'm first. And there's a new player gets moved to seat 7 and I'm in seat 9. Or seat 5, I'm in seat 7. It's a 700 tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on the button, and the small blind has like 2 big blinds, and I'm in the big blind with like 35. And he goes all in, and there's so many physical chips in this tournament for some reason. Like you have towers of chips.
Huh.
And I guess I can't remember what the big blind was, but he ends up going all in for what was 19 big blinds, because I remember counting it out. I was like, okay, this is 19 big blinds. So let's just say he says it's like 4.2 million. I think that's what it was. So he went all in for this amount, and I say how much, and the dealer counts it out, and he says 4.2 million. He looks at the guy looks at his chips, he like nods. I say to the dealer again, 4.2. And I'm looking at his chips, because I felt like he had more before the hand somehow. I'm looking at his chips and counting it. I take maybe like 2.5 minutes to call. It was a very like elaborate call, because you just feel like something's off somehow. You don't know what it is. There's
Mm-hmm.
just like something feels wrong. And the guy next to me, can't remember his name, but he also felt like it was wrong too, and I could kind of feel it on him as well. So I got the
Right.
dealer to confirm the amount, and I had ace 9 suited, and I was like, okay, I call, and the guy has pocket jacks, and I was like, wow, like 19 big blinds. It's like such a big jam with pocket jacks. Like I was kind of surprised. Like you should always just raise call it, because I'm gonna jam
Yeah.
deuces, threes, fours, ace deuce offsuit, whatever. So I was like, wow, why is he jam so many big blinds of jacks? And anyway, he wins, and then after the hand, he just like slides these 1 million chip, 100K chips to like from the back of his stack, like which were like hidden basically, and it slides into the front. And he's like, oh no, 5.2, 5.2.
So
He wasn't English. He was from an Asian country.
okay,
So he's
so
like, no, five. He's like 5.2. And the dealer was like, oh, I thought it was just like 4.2. Like we confirmed that, but he had the all in button in front of him. So
okay,
like, because I was thinking first, well, maybe I just pay him 4.2. Because like I've only called 4.2. I've only put 4.2 in. Like I've counted out 4.2 and put it
right,
in, but the all in chips there, and
right,
I've said call. So like I'm kind of on the hook for it, but this is a situation where there's just no way I could like see he had the extra
right,
million,
right.
unless I really look behind the chips. And this is why when Derek and the other guys in the hand, I'm trying to see the chips,
Hmm.
because I kind of promised myself this only happened like 2 days before. So I promised myself, like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that whenever I call off in a big spot deep in the tournament, I'm gonna make sure and confirm the amounts, because I don't
Yeah.
want to get it wrong and cost myself like literally tens of thousands in EV. So yeah, I ended up had to pay him uh the 5.2. And yeah, that was just it. The deal, he kind of got away with just like not understanding English. And I was like, well, maybe he's just a nit and would play like jam jacks like this, whatever.
Hmm.
He ended up being like a really good player, really technical, like
Mm.
three bet folding off the right stacks, inducing off the right stacks. This is like jacks is such a play he would never ever do. And I saw he had a lot of experience playing live and all this kind of stuff. And I just thought maybe this is just he sees this as like a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
I kind of blamed myself in a way that I should have just somehow saw it. I don't know. It was very, very tough to see, but yeah,
No, I
I
totally
just
get.
wanted to make
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
I totally get that the chips
yeah,
are big, and I don't know what their color scheme's like, but right now we're playing at the bike, and the color scheme for the chips is unfortunately really unfortunate as well, making it
Yeah.
really easy for that kind of thing to happen.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a question. This is the World Series dealers we're talking about. When the dealer was confirming the guy's stack, was he physically picking up the chips and counting them out? Double checking the heights, moving them around at all, or was he just like eyeballing it and telling you, yeah, 4.2?
slightly. Well, the craziest thing was I make a huge deal out of this,
Right.
and there's a guy I stake at the table too, and he sees it as well, and he's like, "Wow, what the fuck?" Like he texts me straight away, like, "This is insane."
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
very, very next, the very, very next hand, the guy at stake goes all in for like I'm gonna say 1.6 million. So he goes all in. The dealer says 1.6 million. It's on me, and I have king queen off, and I think it's about. I'm gonna guess it's something like 7 big blinds or 8 big blinds. So I'm like king queen off. Okay, I'm trying to like stay in the zone. I'm like I'm gonna call a little bit tighter here just because I feel a bit flustered and I'm a bit angry about the situation. I want like my emotion to make me call too wide. So I'm gonna make sure I call a pip too tight, whatever. So I decide, okay, I'm gonna call. I just ask the dealer, can you confirm 1.6? And then my host like look the guy stays like no, it's 2.6, it's 2.6. It's
Oh
like
my
the very
God.
next hand the dealer had like got the next hand wrong, and this like kind of like completely sent me into Mars.
Oh,
I was like,
geez.
oh my fucking god, like I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is insane. This is like back to back hands. Like if I was a dealer there, I would be, completely making sure to the chip that
Yeah.
it's correct.
Yeah. And we're not.
Was
And
this was this was this table streamed?
no, this was like final four tables, I guess, of
Okay,
the
okay,
7-7-7s. But I
okay.
would say a big thing for the World Series is when you're playing deep in these tournaments, the dealers in like the 7-7-7s or like the 1K, whatever it is, I feel like when you're at the last 5 tables or 10 tables, they should give like good dealers there,
Best
Right.
ones, yeah. Get the
Um,
best ones
but,
in.
the-
Yeah.
but some of the dealers you get there, especially at the end of the series, you think, well, these guys must have been dealing for the whole month, like how are they so incompetent? But you want to show some empathy because they must be so fucking tired and it's
Hmm.
hard, and I get it. But it feels like they want to give the dealers to the highest stake tournaments, which kind of makes sense. But we're playing for higher stakes on day 4 of this tournament than day 1 of like a RAS 10K. So like I would just
Right.
send the best 5 dealers to the highest stake, the highest equity spots or like the highest profile spots because any dealer can kind of deal RAS, you just deal the cards. Like here, there's so many more chips and there's so much more pressure and there's so much more emotion and stuff going on. So I really feel like the priority of how the dealers get distributed around the room should be like somewhat
Yeah.
reconsidered.
No, absolutely.
And just the amount of money, especially for the players that tend to be in those fields, is so humongous that you got to have competent dealers in there. That's just nuts.
Yeah. Yep. We talked
Yeah,
a fair bit about the World Series last week on the show, so we're not gonna take a huge tangent, but we absolutely agree with you. I have a friend who dealt the World Series, and it was just really frustrating because I know he's a great dealer, and I just saw how his ships were being handed out and how little, there was just no consideration to how good a dealer was. It felt like to where they went, and it with the
yeah.
app and everything. I really hope next year how hard would it be to add a little button to rate your dealer, and then they could have some data. They don't have to do
Right.
they do what they want with it, but
Huge.
at least they'd have some data, and they'd have a lot of data, thousands of votes per dealer. You know.
And the big problem is that you get like I saw Helmuth saying today, and I watched Josh Arias like 888 poker out of David Tuckman, very random, but I watched that, and both of them are saying about how good the dealers were this year,
What?
and
What?
it gives a perception to the community that the dealers are really good, and the dealers are really good in what they play. Like if you play high stakes mixed games, the dealers are incredible. They're really really good, but
Right, but not
the
hold them.
the people the people that the community see, and the people who are like the spokespersons for the World Series, your Helmuths, your Josh Arias, they are basically they kind of hide the issue of the dealers in the World Series because, like, let's say I'm a poker player from England, and I'm not the World Series, and I listen to Helmuth and listen to Josh Aria, I'm gonna think, oh wow, the dealers must be so good at the World Series. Whereas, like, the real people who see the majority of the dealers are the people who the majority. You hear the 0.1% saying how good it is. You don't hear like the actual reality.
Right. No, absolutely.
Um, so yeah, I think if you give the bad dealers in the high stakes mix, you would see Helmuth and these guys like kicking off, and it would cause more drama, you know.
Yeah, but of course,
And they,
the World Series doesn't want that, right? I mean, if anything, they were handpicking the best dealers to send Helmuth's way so that he wouldn't do that, right?
literally, this is what I'm saying is the issue. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep. And we spoke about this in our last episode. I kind of said like, look, this year I only went for two trips up to the World Series this year, but it really felt like this year the only improvement that I really saw, the only thing I would say was much better than last year was the app, and the app was fantastically better. It was a huge, huge,
Yeah.
huge plus, like plus 100. But every other thing didn't really feel like it got better. Not with floor decisions, not with dealer training, not with anything else.
Sure.
Now the app makes up for all of it. I think it does. But
The app
why
is
did the
the
other
app is so
things not
good.
get better?
The app's great, but in any other industry, we would have had this app like 10 years
Oh,
ago.
of
You know,
course.
it's
That's
like
true.
it's not like this app is from like the future. It's
Nope.
like this app is from the past almost. Like this is, I saw they had. I don't want to make this huge DSP thing, but I saw they had 47 million in rake this year. Just like there should just be a couple of things which are a little bit better,
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is anyway. They
Look,
do.
Look,
It's a tough job to coordinate it all, So
yeah. Look, I work in defense. I'm used to getting things many years after it's modern for everyone else and getting excited about it. All right, so don't ruin this for me. No. But no. So to get back to this issue though, I mean, it's unfortunate that the other thing that kind of brings up is like, for instance, if someone like me was at that table and I was sitting over near that other stack, maybe someone would have gotten mad, but I would have definitely been, especially if I noticed it was a less experienced dealer, I would have almost been touching the chips. I would have been in there making sure it was correct. I would have been
I do
the
that.
second dealer.
As soon as I get a sniff that a dealer's a little bit incompetent, I just start touching chips.
Yeah, like maybe it's technically not the right thing to do, but at the World Series,
Sure.
it was necessary a lot of the times, and I feel like the arguments that you're having over like, hey, let's have some common decency, show me your chip stack, make it easy. Hey, let's everyone at the table be responsible. Like I said 4 million, he said 4 million, that guy's saying 4 million. You sitting right next to him, you can clearly see that we're not seeing something. Hello, can you just raise your hand here? I mean, no, I feel like this is a cultural thing that we need to keep pushing for. And I feel like there's a lot of people like you, and we're always beating the drum every week. These are things that if we could just all agree on these and enforce them and do these as a community, Savage would have so much less to talk about at the TDA. The things they're talking about, like
Yeah.
whether you can come in behind the button or whether you should be able to stand there and wait. All these things about late reg, all these things could just be solved if we all just agreed that we were all going to be fair and kind of human to each other, right? Like we're all going to treat each other equally, right?
Yeah, to put Andrew Ostapchenko's credit, in the hand where I thought the guy had like 5.5 million Derek, he actually said out loud he has 6.1 million. If you listen to the clip,
Oh yeah,
you
he's
can
the one that
hear
said
him
that.
actually.
Nice.
because he's in seat, let's just say like 3 or 4, and he can see the chips from a different angle. Like the hands which are covered are from like height in 1 to 9, basically.
Hmm.
But he's in one and in seat 9. But Andrew can see the stack very well from where he is. And he like told me in the middle of the hand like how much he had,
Nice.
which I really appreciated.
Yeah, we like
Which is
Andrew a lot.
good.
Yeah, we're hoping to have him on pretty soon. But no, that's great. That's great. Um,
But it's a bit awkward. Imagine like Andrew gets it incorrect and it's like really 6.7, and then I'm like, what the fuck? Like I made it the same thing that you told me it was 6.1. Do you know what I mean? It's like
no,
it
that's
shouldn't
true.
have to be like it shouldn't necessarily have to be like that.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It shouldn't have to be like that. But
No, no, of course, yeah, you shouldn't have to, but I mean, it's good that he is giving an honest his honest effort. And if everyone did that, you have 3 or 4 sets of eyes, however many people are left helping verify, right? Like we can all get it
Yeah,
right quickly together and move on.
and I do think other than like technical training of dealers, I think dealers also need to be taught like why things are important, like why chip stacks are important, or why, putting like table change cards face down and not giving them like specifically to people and letting them pick is important. There's so many things that are really important for the integrity of poker that dealers don't realize. And I think this is why maybe they get a little bit lazy about counting chips.
this is correct. But at the same time, I remember like a couple of years ago when Jack Effer was like saying, if you're calling 14, you call him 17. You know, you remember that
we
clip?
we had
Somebody actually
Yeah.
said that in the
we
chat.
had some callbacks to that already in the chat. Oh boy.
Yeah. So like, if you're saying the dealers need to understand. I mean, like that's
Jack,
from
yeah.
the very, very top. So like,
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of tough to expect a random dealer in a 777s to understand. Like,
Mhm.
let's say priority dealer number 732 is like that, if that's what you hear on like the main event like ruling,
Yeah.
because like who's doing the educating, you know what I mean? Like
No,
who's
absolutely.
giving the training.
So
Mhm.
to Derek's point, what we need to do is we need to teach the people even higher up why this stuff
Yeah.
is important. We need to keep going up and up and up and start the training there. That's I think
Yeah.
that was the
Well,
the
we
real one.
shouldn't have to, but
No,
yeah,
of course
we
not.
must.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah, and by the way, there's so many amazing dealers like in the World Series too.
Yeah.
Like there are so many like guys who've been coming for
Oh
years
yeah,
and years,
hundreds.
and it's part of the fixture. Like when you come back, you see the guys like a guy called Sal who deals all the time. There's Danielle. There's a lot of them who deal who are
Yep.
really really good.
Yeah, we see a lot
Um,
of our LA
and yeah,
dealers there, the great dealers, and we're really happy to see
Yeah,
them come to our
if you
table.
if you come to LA, you'll see the biggest density of high quality dealers. I feel like even some of the worst dealers here are like really,
Oh
really
yeah.
good.
that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
I don't want it to feel like we're shitting on everybody. Also, I feel like the Venetians like after playing in the World Series all summer, like playing the Venetian is one tournament. Like it is a pleasure to play there. The chairs are amazing. The room is nice.
Yeah.
Like good food options, good coffee options. Easy to get in and out. Just like it's like I'm not trying to shit on every room or whatever and complain. I'm very in Vegas you have so many opportunities. You're so fortunate to play everywhere. Just like there's just some things you would which could help everybody.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
electronic stacks, I think would just be a big improvement on everybody.
Yeah. No, we totally agree
It's
if
funny,
they
like
get it.
like my mum at home can see the stacks and I can't. Like there's something wrong with her. Like I
Right.
don't know. Yeah.
Yep. No,
Yeah,
absolutely agree with
she's
you.
texting me. My mum's texting, why are you jamming 652? He has a high risk premium. I was like, Mum, I don't know how much he has.
I feel like you just outlined your next string of hit tweets.
Yeah.
After
And I
every
know you're
tournament, just
joking,
be
but
like my mom's tweet. After every tournament, my
I
mom's
know you're
tweet.
joking, but I could totally see your mom being like that knowledgeable about poker.
Yeah, she watches the streams. Yeah, she always texts me. Whenever I make bad jams, she always tells me it's a bad jam. So that was in my mind.
I think we need to see
She thinks,
those.
yeah, she thinks I'm the worst pocket fives player in the world. She thinks I'm too aggressive with it. She's like, I don't have blockers, and she hates when I go over pocket fives. So yeah, there's something in there. Something in that for sure.
I like it.
Yeah.
I definitely want to start seeing that string. I think those are going to be your next viral tweets. Just every time you bust, show the tweet you got from your mom. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. You don't want to see them, trust me. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and unfortunately, we'll apologize for the surly behavior there of Mr. Gregory. He is an LA player as well, so you were kind of surrounded by LA players near the end of that tournament. I believe with Andrew getting third and Derek getting second there. So,
With Derek, I would say it's easy to get caught up in the moment, and like I can see why he might be antagonized by me wanting to know his stack and why he may not think it's as important as I think it is. And when you're in the moment and you're playing for such big money, I can see why you can just make. I mean, I'm not saying he even made like a moral or ethical mistake, whatever. Just like maybe he's fine of how he conducted himself anyway. but I feel like the pylon's a little bit too much. Like there's so much. Every time I log into Twitter, I have 20 new notifications saying something bad about him, and there's a lot of you see the nastiest side of the humanity too, and the community too. You see a lot of racism. You see a lot
Oh
of like
yeah, that was.
really
Mhm.
really horrible things, which are just like that's definitely not something obviously which I'd ever be trying to contribute towards, and something which I find even if someone feels like they're somehow supporting me by saying something like terribly racist, like
Yeah.
I don't see that as support. I see that as disgusting.
Mhm.
So
No, the comments
uh,
were really
uh,
bad under there for sure. There were definitely a lot of out of line comments down there.
super, yeah. And that doesn't make me happy. It makes me sad.
Yeah.
Like I just want to. I wasn't even when I'm in the moment. I'm like, I don't want that to be drama about this. I just want that to be like trying to play poker. I
Yep.
want it to be a final table where people can kind of enjoy. Like me and Andrew are both very, very aggressive. Derek is very aggressive.
Hmm.
The Asian guy, I don't know his name. I keep saying the Asian guy.
I
Sorry
think
for
his
that. I
name was
don't know his
Lou.
name.
I think I saw in the clip his name was Lou. Yep.
Yeah, well, Lou as well. He's very aggressive. So like, it's actually a table full of. You often see these tables that are very tight and
Yep.
nitty. Like a 1500 Venetian. Like we are guys who are going to fucking go for it. Like there's a lot of big bluffing, a lot of people going after it, and I think you should just be able to enjoy that as a final table rather than having to waste. I don't want to waste time either. Like Derek says, I was trying to run the clock down or something. Like definitely not what I was trying to do. Obviously I want to play as many hands as possible and and get in there and battle. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if
We got
people
guys in
watching
the
and they
chat.
were
We got
put
guys
off
in the
on
chat who want to see your dark side, Pads. They say stop being so nice.
dark side. Yeah, I mean I have a dark side. I guess we all do to some degree.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
but yeah.
so another topic we're actually gonna bring up. You sort of touched on with the 7-7-7s. You said that tournament the stacks were very big. Like the chips, sounds like they didn't get bulked up very often. There was just massive stacks. And we're kind of there's sort of a debate still out there. It's one that Savage is constantly having about how many small chips should be out there. Should we be going back to stacking up big? Should we be coloring? Should we be coloring up more aggressively? Where do you stand on that?
Well, I asked the floor on the end of day 3. There was like 2 levels left, and we had so many chips. And I said, "Look, we need to color up here. Everyone just has so many chips; it's impossible." And we're playing a 25-minute clock or something. It was very fast, and every hand was like, "Oh, well, how much does he have? How much does he have?" Just in a very innocent way because there's so many physical chips.
Right.
And they said, "Sorry, we can't color up because we don't have any more chips. Like we have to get them tomorrow morning, kind of thing." So they hadn't really prepared for it for whatever reason. And I feel like during this World Series, I've actually been aggressively colored up a bit too much. I think it's nice to have physical chips if they're displayed reasonably. If I was a floor, I would color people's chips up who don't have them stacked correctly. So like if some guys just have stacks like around just like in random ways, I would just like, hey, I'm gonna color you up. But if a guy has like kind of a lot of chips but not too many, and they're just like stacked in a really nice way where everyone can see and it's not slowing the game down, I don't think we necessarily need to like aggressively color him up. I feel like when people are walking through Paris or Horseshoe or whatever, and they see people playing with all these chips, it looks like James Bond. It kind of attracts you towards the game, Whereas if you have like a bunch of guys with 5 chips, it kind of looks just like a guy in a roulette thing with like 5 chips. There's not too much difference. So I feel like the big stacks of the World Series in the past, I was drawn towards the World Series because of that.
Those are
like
so fun.
Yeah, it looks amazing, but at the same time, it obviously needs to be practical too. And some guys stack their chips reasonable, and some guys don't. So if I was a floor, instead of coloring up the chip leader of every table, I would color up the big stacks around who are trying to not show their stacks correctly or whatever. So I wouldn't have much leniency with people who maybe have their big chips at the back or whatever else it may be. But if someone just has like a decent amount of chips, I wouldn't be rushed to color them up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think the floor and just basically the floor staff, I think they just overcorrect to making things like easier for themselves. And I get like how hard it is to do color ups when you have like a billion chips out there. But I think they just went a little bit too far. And Matt Savage, I obviously love, and I think he makes so many good decisions. But I do think like the coloring up is it's like 10% too aggressive, right?
And there's also so many errors of coloring up too. Like I've heard, I don't know, like 30 times a series where like people had less chips when they came back after the color up. Like happened all the time. I don't know. I mean, I understand it happened once or twice, but it happens so much, like you almost, yeah, it's weird. Like you're
afraid to leave your
you
stack.
have to take I took a photo of my stack every time. I shouldn't have to do that.
I've heard people who take the photo still aren't able to get their chip stack.
I know. Yeah, I've heard that too. Like they'll show them the photo and they're like, no, we can't do anything.
Yeah, they're like, well, our cameras don't have a good angle, so we still can't do it. It's
crazy. It's crazy.
Well, I know the World Series do care if people post stuff. Like I posted a hand from. I was playing in some tournament, and the it's kind of a funny story actually. The dealer, the dealer is the dealer puts out a flop. Let's just say it's like King 9-4, without giving anyone cards, and seat
I saw your
eight goes
tweet on
all.
that. That was so funny.
So seat 8 got his chips, and he's like, "I'm all in," and then he kicks the guy in seat 9, and he's like, "Go all in." So he goes all in too. The whole table
that
goes
one.
all in. So it's like 8 guys all. There's 8 guys all in, and then the dealer just runs it out, and she's like, "Who wins?" You know, and no one has cards, and
that is
and
such
I had
quick
like
thinking.
I had 3 flaws come up to me within like 30 minutes, and like, "Who was the dealer? Who was the dealer?" You know, like, "We're gonna fire them," or whatever kind of thing. So like they do kind of like taking a photo and like making it public that these things are happening are actually a good thing. Like they do see it,
Yeah.
you know. So I think even if you don't get the chips immediately, it will like not bully them, but encourage them to do things proper. You know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate you have to air it, like air the dirty laundry a little bit as a public figure to get like noticed. Because I mean, how many like people who have no like social media presence just
Right.
get killed because of that kind of stuff? Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, but a lot of people, if someone does do it, they'll often tag someone in it who doesn't have a presence, and then they get like
Yeah.
support that way too. Like that happens like pretty frequently, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Now, there's one nice thing about the poker community on social media. Getting, sometimes it's we're so tight knit, you can get kind of sick of it, or it gets kind of at it. The echo chamber is unbearable, but that is one nice thing. It's very approachable to tag someone like you, or to tag someone like like Josh or even Daniel, and they will pick up on it if it's interesting and relevant, right? So that is awesome.
Maybe for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, hey, as long as we have you around, why don't we get your take on a couple of the other hot topic issues from the TDA? One that I think's pretty interesting is, unless you got to go, don't make us keep you. But are you really enjoying this chat?
I need another 5 minutes. It might get a bit loud. I'm just walking down the strip, so if it gets unbearable for the viewers, just cut me off. It's fine.
So one that I kind of wanted to chat about here, and that I saw an idea that I think could be controversial, but I know where I stand on it, is this year at the World Series, because of the way the app worked, people were allowed to register and wait for the button to pass, right? I think we know where most of us feel about that, but given the rules, how do you feel about what a rational player should have done? And then they said they're going to do something next year, I think, right? What kind of things can they actually do to fix this? And I've seen a few things floated out there in Savage's threads, but I want to get your take on it. How would you fix this, and is it a problem?
So every time I sat down, well, actually, that's not true. Most times I sat down, I waited for the blind to pass. A lot of the times when I wanted to just gamble, like in the 777s or like a lower stakes tournament, I would always just like be dealt in the big blind to get like an extra hand and all of the. I kind of want to play the big blind because it's a spot. I'm not trying to necessarily make big blind 100. I'm trying to like up the variance kind of thing to get a stack, right? So like I
Sure.
often want to get dealt into the big blind because it's going to be the position which I pick the most. So like I kind of take like a minus EV spot for myself because I want to play a hand. But if I was playing, let's say, a serious tournament or like trying to make the most EV, I would always wait for the button to happen. However, at the same time, I think this summer, probably 40 to 50 times, I would say, I told people who came to the table, "Hey, no, like, don't come, like, wait a couple of hands and you can come in the cutoff," you know?
Okay.
So, like, I feel like people, I wouldn't say it was like super common that it was happening, but there would be times where someone would sit and someone else at the table would say it before I did. And if they didn't, I would always do it. But in general, I feel like people were trying to like let the amateurs know they should come in after the button too. And like I said, I'm not trying to be some like white knight or something like this. It just, I felt like I'm going to take the EV myself, but I'm also going to make sure that other people are not going to get fucked by it, just so it makes it like a standard thing for everybody. I think everyone coming in the cutoff is good. I think if it's the same for everybody. There's one thing you could do before like max late reg, especially in like the 10Ks, like the mixed games. You could come in reg before late reg closes, like 5 minutes, to make sure you don't come in the big blind. Because if you reg after reg closes, you could somehow be put in the big blind. You know, you have like a 20%, 15% chance, whatever it is, depending on the table size. So that was one thing which you could kind of like game the system by like not max late regging like just before kind of thing, you know?
Gotcha.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a good point today, and I think Savage responded to somebody who said this, that like maybe we should just force all late reg people into the big blind. Like they should just go right there. Because we do think like max late reg people already get so much advantage, than being able to skip their big blind is like another advantage. That just starts feeling a little bit not fair.
It won't work because first of all, the World Series wants to max their profits, and to do that, they want people to register as much as possible. And to do that, they need people to max late register. Otherwise, they wouldn't have 10 big blind max late reg. They would just have like 50 big blind max late reg like it used to, right? So if they do a system which disincentivizes people to actually jump in, like if someone tried to sell action to me, but they told me, hey, by the way, I'm going to lose 20% of my stack in the first round, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not going to buy the action, you know?
That's true.
So like it's literally like what's going to happen. And like, I often say this, like so much of the World Series is funded by people either backing people or putting people in or sponsored or whatever else it may be. That, it's going to, I have like say 100 guys in Vegas next summer or 200 guys. No one's going to be max late regging if they have to pay 20% of their stack, They're just going to go to the Venetian and play hand one from there instead. Or they're going to go to the Win and play with 50 big blinds there instead, So I don't think in an ideal world where the players own the World Series, I think it's a good idea. In the realistic world where GG own it, it's not realistic and something which I don't even think is worth discussing. Do you know what I mean? From a potential thing to happen.
Right. Yeah, that's a pretty sharp view.
Yeah, I totally agree that a company like GG wouldn't want to do that in World Series. I would have little faith in. But with Matt Savage doing the TDA summit, if it's something they're talking about, as you know, the World Series has its own version of the rules. They kind of take the TDA rules and modify them. So if we say Savage and those are hopefully trying to think of things in a what is the most fair kind of way, I don't think they will, but I could see a world where they would make that kind of the rule, and then the World Series puts out their version of the rules where that doesn't exist, right?
I just can't see any. I can't see any room agreeing to it. Like if I own the Win, Venetian, wherever area, like Poker Go, like I don't see anyone accepting this. It's just going to really hurt the bottom line. It's going to help your competitors who don't agree to it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you from a business point of view. Absolutely, from a I guess a fairness point of view, I do like the idea. And then the other option of it is, well, not the other option, but the other side of it is another thing they are talking about though at the TDA is like, hey, how late is late reg supposed to be going? Like how many entries? Like I don't know what they intend to do about it, but it is a topic about re-entries, late reg, and is it, right here in Savage's tweet, it says one topic is late reg issues and is it open too long? So this is something that people are thinking about, and I don't know, they clearly can't dictate how a room runs their event, but it's something that the TDAs wanted to talk about over there. So it'd be very interesting to see what comes out of their discussions.
I mean, I think the best way to do it is you just have it's like what happens online, basically. The way GG do it online is if you register on time, you get, say, like 26,000 chips. If you register after level 6, you get 25,000 chips. So you get basically bonus chips for coming on time. And if you come late, it cuts down your advantage of, like the whole max late regging thing, but it doesn't also like just deal you in a big blind and take 20% of your stack away, So,
sure.
This is what happens online and it works perfectly. And you still get people max late regging. They don't have as much of advantage as they do. You also get people pre-registering tournaments because you get this bonus chips. So yeah, I think like
I like that.
I think that's just the way you do it.
And
you let people come in the cutoff. I don't see any problem with letting people come in the cutoff if it's the same for everybody. I just feel like you don't necessarily want to penalize the people who max late register. Like the poker industry always looks for ways to penalize, like what about just rewarding the people who do something a little bit different or do things the way you want it to do, Like you just give people more chips, you turn up on time, and you don't have to punish the guys who come late, Like they're following your rules. They're registering in your time frame. It's not like they're doing something crazy. It's like, hey, the tournament's open for 7 hours. You turn up after 7 hours, like, oh, how dare you turn up after 7 hours? Like they're offering it, if they want to offer like a promotion to the guys who come on time, sure. But like, I don't see why you'd punish someone who's just like following your rules.
Yeah, no, I
That seems kind
definitely,
of
I
crazy.
really like the idea of kind of the different tiers, so to speak. I'm like, right, Poker Go is like rake free if you're really early, right, or something like that, and
Right, exactly.
other such incentives. Now, I think it's just a framing issue. I think if you do reward early registrations with more chips and the late ones aren't, I think you are still penalizing them, which I'm okay with. I think that's fine to have those different incentives, right, to do that. And I think any spot would technically be fair. Any spot coming in registration, you could argue it's unfair to the people who started the table, but they in theory started right at the beginning, so it's a big deal. You probably had 200 big blinds or 100 big blinds, right? Question
Yeah.
is, how do you deal with, like, at the World Series, um, the table changes, right? Should we have a different policy for when your table breaks and you go to the new one, as opposed to when you reg late, especially if it's still during reg open, and it's going to be hard for like the dealer to tell, especially these new dealers.
I think it's just random. Like when you get dealt, it's just random when you move tables. I don't feel like it's that big of a. I
Well, I
think
mean,
like
the slow walk is the so to speak slow walk. The so to speak, should a person changing tables also be allowed to wait until the blind passes effectively,
well
right?
now you have the note system. I would basically if I was they have lots of floors working anyway. If I've actually been told by floors like, hey, walk faster when I've been like walking fast. So if the floors all look at it, I would do like infractions. So like let's say someone gets like the flop called on them in a tournament, I would like just put this onto their account. And like let's say it
Yeah,
happens like a hundred times. I'm like, wow, this guy's like, let's speak to him,
yeah,
And if a guy's like being told like 7 times for slow walking, okay, this is probably an issue. So like
yeah.
I think I would just do like now they have the note system in the app. I would just do some kind of thing where they keep control of everything like that. By the way, one thing I thought the World Series should do is do add-ons. So like offer an add-on for the same amount of chips. Like let's say you're in the 777, like when the registration closes, you can just pay the full amount of the buy and just get like an extra stack of chips. Do you know what I mean? So like the prize pools can grow just really. I think a lot of people would just and
Yeah.
if someone doesn't do it, it's fine. Like it just the only thing they can do is like increase the prize pools.
Well, that is
I'm surprised
interesting
that
that they don't have one. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. That's such a standard thing online to have add-on tournaments, right? And we even have some here on a weekly basis in LA. I'm surprised that there's not a single add-on tournament in the World Series. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's like some amount of trying to get stuff done at a certain time. You know what I mean? So it wouldn't just like blow up with everybody increasing their stacks by that
oh
much.
right.
Well, I
Just
don't think everyone would. I don't think everyone, it would increase the average stack size of the tournament by basically nothing anyway, because the average stack size at the end of late reg is, let's say, 6 starting stacks or something like this. So
Yeah,
if 5% of the field add an extra starting stack, it's increasing nothing. It doesn't change anything in terms of the time.
that's
Like
true.
it's increasing things by so little, but you add an extra, 5% to the prize pool, it's quite a lot. 10% to the prize pool, it's quite a lot.
Yeah,
Especially over time. I'm just surprised that the World Series were like such like trying to make as much money as possible. They've never done something like
yeah,
this.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of regs in lower stakes tournaments would do it, and it would be good for the prize pool, kind of thing.
No, I definitely think in a
Um,
lower buy-in tournament, the percentage of people getting that add-on would be much higher than 5%. So yeah, I'm
It
surprised.
would be. Yeah.
So you heard it here. Look, World Series, listen, take this advice. Do an add-on next year. I can't believe they don't have one. You just blew my mind. I can't. They're doing all these other kinds of events, huh?
they could also do a test. They could end late reg earlier, so they could do, let's say, 25 blinds instead of 10, let's say, and they could offer an add-on instead. This way, they wouldn't lose money because all they need to do is get like 10% of the field to add on instead of trying to squeeze an extra 10% of people through the doors. And even this way, logistically, it's probably easier than having to open up all these new tables or whatever.
True.
So
No,
you end late
absolutely.
reg, you end late reg earlier, you get into the money earlier, everything's a bit quicker. And you also just like don't lose any money from the prize pool too. And people are also more incentivized to add on if they're adding on for, let's say, 25 big blinds rather than 10 big blinds, right? Because like if I was in like a 1K tournament, I could add on 10 blinds, I wouldn't be too incentivized. If I could add on 25, it's actually quite a lot. It gives me that like room to gamble a bit more, like an extra free life or whatever. So I feel like it would fix a lot of stuff. And yeah, I'm surprised if I'm always playing, I'm always asking myself at the end of late reg if they offered me, like a stack here for a buy-in, would I take it? usually, especially with the app now. So it's not like you
Oh
need to
yeah.
go to the cage to do it. Just do it on the app, like say
Yep.
yes please, and just do it.
Yep.
And
Put it on my
I don't know.
tab.
I feel like they would. I think they would print like this. I've always been so surprised if you never done something like that. Uh,
Yeah,
So
maybe
yeah.
now that they have the app and it went pretty smoothly, they will be able to do things like that. So I would not be shocked to see an event like that coming soon. I mean, honestly, you could even do they could do progressive bounties with the app much more easily now, right? If they could just get it to track within the app, you could look at your table and see what everyone's bounty on the app, right?
You need to trust the dealers to be confident enough to do it in big field tournaments, but in a high stakes tournament, I think it would be fine now.
Yeah.
All right. The other big thing that kind of was brought up, and there's a lot of flavors to this topic, right, is the stalling, right? Every year at the World Series, stalling is a problem, but, with folks like Kasuf really getting the spotlight, man, he was the king of stalling this year. He really brought it to the forefront. And Derek here used to be heavy on the side of totally cool at stalling, well, soft stalling, right? Not like completely abusing system, but soft stalling at bubbles and pay jumps, going for the one chip stall kind of situation. But everybody's really been chattering about it. DNegs is now campaigning and crusading against the one chip back, and everyone has talked about how logistically you can't make a rule against it, because then it's 2 chips back, then it's 3 chips back. What do you do? What is your take on that? Do you think this is unavoidable? You think that we just shot clocks are the answer at the end? What do you think? Is it a problem? And if it is, what do you think we can do about this as a community?
Yeah, I think it's very tough to manage and put something in that discipline. Because like you said, if it's like 90% of your stack, like first of all, that actually takes more time because the deal has to be like, oh, this is like 87% of his stack. Like who determines it's 90% of the stack or 85% of the
Yep.
stack? The dealer has to do the math. Like,
And they
they
can't
have to
even count
out
between
your
4 and
entire.
5 million, as we established with your hand. So I mean,
Right.
It would also just be, I mean, that creates so much more work for the dealers. Like I feel like that's like impossible thing to do. I feel like the shot box is probably the best way to do it, and I'd probably do something like a shorter shot clock for pre-flop, like a 10-second pre-flop shot clock. You don't really need more than 10 seconds to make a pre-flop decision, and if you do, it's very rare. So if you just have like the extra 10 seconds that you can add on, it's fine. I feel like the problem with shot clocks is when you do 30 seconds, people
Yep.
will just take their full 30 seconds each time, and
Absolutely.
now you have 9 guys taking 30 seconds. It's just a disaster. But if it's 10 seconds and you have 9 guys doing it, it's basically what people take anyway. 10 seconds is, I don't know, it's completely script here. It's 9 people take or 8 people taking 10 seconds. I don't think it's too crazy.
Yeah, what we'd really like to see, or what we've been floating around, is with the app. I just keep. You pointed out, though, they made a lot of money this year. I mean, the app has so much potential that these people are finally using. They finally acknowledge everyone has a phone that can do something. We have an iPad at every table, keeping data connected to your database. We could try chess clocks. You could try setting up some sort of chess clock situation, which is effectively electronic time banks with more or less infinite divisibility, right? But we could try them, and that's what people have been shouting about a lot, is chess clocks, right? What do you think of those, or do you prefer time
Dealers
chips,
just can't do
standard
it.
time chips?
These dealers just can't do it.
Well,
There's just no way.
if
Like,
it's in the app, I don't think it would be any different than a typical action clock in my mind. If you put it into the app, it would just be
well,
start, stop, and you'd be seeing the countdown.
the World Series deals in general with the clocks in the high stakes tournaments are still very cool. That like you have to tell them a lot, like, hey, press the clock, like
Start
a
the
lot,
clock, start the clock, stop the clock.
all the time. Like, hey, pretty sure
Uh,
like can you start it? So I feel like they're just not able to do it. Which is
Yeah, we've
really
had to do that.
strong.
We've had to do it at the Gardens too. When
Yeah.
Kevin was there and they had shot clocks, we would constantly have to help the dealers, figure it out.
Yeah, that is sad. But if they are doing the other system and you are helping them, and so with the new system, still would have to help them. But I feel like it would be an improvement to the I get 6 time bank chips, and then final 3 tables I get 4 more time bank chips. I feel like it would be an improvement to that. Because you'd be able to do things like say, hey, you got 5 seconds pre-flop, but you have this big time bank that will start ticking down for just you, and then you carry it through the event, right? That kind of thing, and other.
Could the players do it themselves somehow? Like in chess, like you do your own clock.
Yeah.
Like once I finish
My
once
action, I
finish
hit
my
the
move, I
button.
press the clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you hit the button, and everyone has like a button built into, I don't know, somehow. I'm not sure. Like that feels more feasible.
You
and the
could
way
but
better way, but
yeah, I don't know
I
if
do
it's more
think
feasible.
I do think with like 9 people, so I think like a heads up, like 2 people playing chess, it's very easy to keep
Mhm.
a track on like what's going on. I think with 9 people, there could be a little bit of angling here and there, maybe not pressing the button and
Sure.
people didn't notice.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I
yeah, like
just
you can ask, yeah, like what if someone tells you, you know how much the bet is, the way you press the clock, and now it's your turn, and your clock's ticking, or you know how much the bet is. Like, yeah, it'd be awkward for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just think that as hard as it would be to get the one person, the dealer, to hit the button correctly, getting 9 people to hit the button correctly would be much harder. But these are all,
Yeah.
all things that should be not necessarily experimented with, but thought about it, I think. And as we go more towards more of this stuff being in apps and being on our phones or being on devices, I think
Yeah.
something will happen. But definitely at a minimum, action clocks. Derek and I think action
But
clocks need to be the standard.
they need to have short clocks
Yep,
though.
short
Like, they
for
need to be,
pre-flop. Yep.
it needs to be 10 seconds for pre-flop
Mhm.
because
I agree.
no one take. I think 10 seconds is like very reasonable.
Yep.
Like, it's hard for someone. If someone takes 10 seconds every single hand, that's fine. It's completely okay, you know.
Yeah,
But it's just when you
absolutely.
do 30, it's just even 20 is
Yeah.
too long.
10 seconds
20
unless
each
till you're at
time.
a 3-bet or something. I think somebody's rule is like until it's the second time around the table or something like that.
Well, I think if there's action in front of you, then I think you should get 30. But basically, if there's no action, it should be 10.
I don't. Like, let's
Well,
say
even with action
I
in front
think
of
it
you,
has to
you
be a
think it should 10?
3-bet. I think it has to be a 3-bet.
Wow. Wow.
well, let's say someone raises the hijack, and I'm in, let's say, like 25% left of the tournament, and I'm in the cutoff. I'm only gonna play. I think I'd probably respond by continuing with like 15% in my range. So 85% of the time, I need to fold. 15% of the time, I'm gonna play. Most of that is obvious, but if you need to have the extra, if you get given, like 6 or 7 extra 10-second clocks, you can make your decision up in that extra time. Like,
I mean, if I have
once
18 bigs and ace jack off there, I mean, I think I could probably do it in 10 seconds, but maybe I would want like, a little bit more just to think about
Yeah,
like
but
what I should actually do there.
yeah, but that's why you'd get your extra
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I
That's
think
why
the
you
time
get
banks,
extra.
yeah, yep. The online style time bank or the physical time banks, I think would definitely
Yeah, okay.
take care of
Okay.
those situations.
I'd
Right?
rather give people like 20 10-second add-ons rather than giving people 20 seconds every single time.
That
Do
they
you know
can
what I
only
mean?
use
Like,
once per time, probably, right? You don't want them piling all
well,
20 all 20 into one pre-flop decision.
I would say maybe like 5 or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
something like that.
was surprised that I found out WPT actually does limit how many you can use on one turn, because I felt like, always playing online, if you just want to burn all of your clocks for the bubble, fine, you just have none left later. But yeah, it's interesting to cap how many you can use on one turn.
Yeah, I mean, online. You sometimes guys are tanking. I mean, I've done it myself. Like, you tanked a long time. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it just helps the experience when you're in person. It just it's a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to like hurt the live amateurs experience whose turns and has to wait for a guy to wait 4 minutes to fold or something. Online, maybe you can watch YouTube or something on the side, but yeah. Or play into the table, you're playing multi-tables online, so it's a little bit different.
And I think action clocks like fix a lot of things, not just this situation, but a lot of things that we desperately needed everywhere.
Right.
But I think maybe my point of the situation though was I always was like okay with the one chip behind, because it felt like the purpose of a tournament is trying to make as much money as possible. You're on some sort of pay jump or a money bubble, and now you have like these new complications with big blind ante and big blind first and ante first, and there's all these things within the strategy of the game that you can do to try to extend like legally how long it would take for you to actually get your chips in there. But I think Daniel has made a pretty good case that actually is like robbing other people, and it doesn't really feel like it's in the spirit of the game, which is why I basically turned around on the issue.
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily robbing, but I would say that like a table could like, what if the table just waits forever?
Right.
Like, what if the table just never calls a clock?
Mhm.
You can like, if you could say to the table, hey, I'm gonna just like tank this hand, the first hand of the day. You guys aren't gonna call the clock, and we're gonna guarantee ourselves to get 10 pay jumps each.
Yep.
And we're all
Right.
gonna make day 7 of the main event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I heard this story about Ms. Rocky that he played it. This is a crazy story. He like played day 1A of the main event a few years ago. It might be like 8 years ago, I'm not sure. And like he finished the table, let's say starting stack was like 50K. He finished the day with something like 350K, and nobody in his table busted because he just like, once they got short, he just like didn't finish them off. He just kept them around because his spot was so good. You know what I mean? So
That's
like
crazy.
he would like be incentivized to like fold aces free against like a 10 big blinds jam because he wants all these guys to himself. He doesn't want like a young guy to come and like share the guys with him, you know? And like
Jeez,
he bagged the chip lead or something like this.
very.
And yeah, someone told me that before this main event too, and then it's funny how he just goes on and dominates again.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
That's crazy.
that's some real like above the rim poker stuff right there. Yeah, for sure.
but imagine Ms. Rocky on day three of the main. He says, "Hey, listen, guys, like I'm gonna make sure you all stick to hey, you could collude together as a table, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can guarantee all of you guys are going to end the day in day 7 of the main. You could do that, you know, just don't call the clock and we'll just wait. So like there needs to be some kind of rule to
Yep. And
stop the whole table, just not following the clock.
and
Basically.
having an action clock solves that because even without the purposeful collusion, a lot of times, especially at the main event, people just won't call clock on each other. They think they're being nice. They think they're being polite. They think it's the rule. And, you know, in a way they are, but in another way they aren't. Like we said, that maybe be polite to that person, maybe polite so they'll do it back to you, but it's really not
100%.
polite to the rest of the tournament, right? So,
Yeah. That is basically what happened with
I
Ike
mean,
on that 6-minute tank.
well, Ike is known to be like the biggest buyer of action and like high stakes stuff. Imagine you have a lot of like good young guys though, kind of like want to play Tritons one day, and this is the guy who buys all the action for Tritons. Like, probably they're not going to call the clock on him. You know, they're probably going to be like that extra bit friendly to him. It's like if Phil Ivy's tanking, I'm not going to call the clock on him. This is a legend. But if some guy I don't like is there, like I'm probably going to call the clock more. Do you know what I mean? It's just like natural. Like it shouldn't be biased like that. You
yeah,
know?
right.
Like,
Yeah, action clock takes that all the way, all the way. That way, then I don't have to be the jerk calling clock on Phil Ivey.
yeah.
All right. Pads, it's been an absolute pleasure. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Oh, you're breaking up a little bit. Are you still with us? Okay. Well, I was going to wrap it up with Pads, but apparently his connection broke at that exact second. So, here, hold on. Yep, Derek, you want to tell him it's perfect timing. So, Pads, if you listen to this later, if you bring us up, it's been a pleasure having you on. We really enjoyed the conversation, man. I hope we can have you on again. We'll talk. And hey, please do come down to LA, play some poker here. If you want suggestion on what to play, hit us up, man. We'll chat with you and we'll tell you all the best stuff. That is the whole point of the show, is to tell people what the best events are, what the best tournaments are, and where your best, the best play in LA is. And hey, come down enough, you can win our Player of the Year. We got a pretty sick trophy, man. We're giving this thing out to Elvin Bayo in a couple weeks. So hopefully we will see you around. So definitely let us know when you're coming to LA. So just a hop, skip, and a jump there from Vegas. All right. So speaking of Vegas or LA events, and speaking of, getting our Player of the Year started, let's hit up the results from this weekend. And all right, cool. Let's hit up the results. So let's start with the results that our man Frank put up on our Instagram. So make sure you're following our Instagram. Make sure you're following us here on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to know the up to the minute results, if you want to see what's going on in LA, you got to be here. You got to check out this Instagram for a number one field reporter updating it all the time. So Legends of Poker started this past weekend, and it's off to a great start. Man, people are hungry for poker. And as we keep saying, people love one days here in LA. We love them. We eat them up. This first weekend at Legends of Poker, there was a huge one day, every single day, 100K guarantee, and then a 200K guarantee, and then what was this also another 100K? A 50K, a 200K, and a 100K guarantee. These were massive. The opening event, this isn't the opening event. I did. The opening event, $260 kickoff at 548 entries. That had a prize pool of $115,000, so they more than doubled their guarantee. And all the while this was going on, Commerce was still easily surpassing their guarantees on their dailies as well. So we just love these things. And
Yeah, was I like the only person that got stuck at a WSOP or something? Jeez,
I think
you guys
so.
getting all this money.
I think so. So this one ended in a 9-way chop. So this whole final table chopped it up with chip leader and getting the trophy was Jin Yu Wu, taking home just under 10K and being named the winner. However, just so everybody is watching with that Player of the Year this year, I posted about it on Twitter and we talked about it last week. we will be using the MSPT's rules when it comes to chops and Player of the Year points. So for Player of the Year points this year, when a chop happens, everybody in the chop will get the lowest place points. So for this event, everyone in this 9-way chop will be getting 9th place points in our Player of the Year race. That is how we'll be doing it. It seems to work for MSPT. We like the way it sounds, so we're going to give that a shot this year. So just so you know, if you're aiming for LA Poker Roundup Player of the Year, you might not want to chop right away. All right, so congratulations to Jin Yu Wu, and then congratulations number 2, Anthony Kim. 3rd, Bijan Atayan. 4th, Adam Christopher Jones. 5th, Evan Muschetto. 6th, Farouk Agipur. 7th, Hui Win. 8th, John Gogrieve. And 9th, Kevin Win. So congratulations to all of you chopping the opening event. All right, event number.
It's an interesting wrinkle because I do chop if I'm in first because I'm always trophy hunting, and I feel like the money isn't significant enough for me to like play it out. But now I guess I was never really like prioritizing the POI in my head, but now that there is this thing, I probably have to give it another like 10 or 15 seconds of thought about what to do.
Yep, there's an extra dimension on the value proposition now.
Right.
Yep, for sure. And that's fun. I love it. I love adding that in. The day somebody tells us they didn't shop because of our Player of the Year, that's going to be, I'm going to love it. All right, event number 2 was that night. They had a $260 super stack in the afternoon, and that one on Friday afternoon had 206 entries. Prize pool 43,260. Doubled its guarantee as well. This one ended in a 4-way chop. Chip leader Michael Casella getting the win in a little over $8,000. So congratulations to Michael. 2nd place in the chop, Brian Dennis. 3rd place, Thui Win. Oh, looks like, I'm guessing that's Tony. 4th place, Chong Liao. And then not chopping the rest of the final table out here was Harar Danielian, Tree Din in 6th. 7th, Shahin Matrioshian. 8th, Dominique Alvarado. And 9th, Leonardo Mendoza. So congratulations to that final table.
Pretty good at pronouncing these Persian names.
Thank you.
I remember in the beginning you're really struggling with this, but now you're doing pretty good.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, for these ones I'm kind of just like pulling in as many of the letters into my eyes as I can and just going with it and hoping something comes out that's pronounced.
They are very unique spellings of things.
I just wanted to come back to this first post to point out that they had a total for this entire weekend. So the events for this opening weekend, we had a total of 2,730 total entries over the weekend, which is pretty amazing for just these 3 days to get almost 3,000 entries in. All right. Event number 3 was the big boy. It was the $400 legendary stack, the 200K guarantee. And I think there might be one more on the schedule, but the 200K guarantee, it was huge. It had 976 entries in a one day, and this was with a lot of people, myself included, getting discouraged by the line and not rebuying, or our boy Hambone saw the line and he just went straight to commerce. So turns out it actually wasn't that bad. Derek said he was near the back line, got through in about a half hour, right? So the line,
I think that was
bad.
maybe later. I think earlier, before they opened up the tables, it was probably taking an hour.
Okay.
But then when they opened up the tables, it was taking 30 minutes. And luckily that just happened when I busted.
Gotcha. So this event filled the room, obviously, and so did Sunday, honestly. Filled the room completely. They were able to convince the bike to give them a couple extra tables in the cash area, so they were able to get, I think, 3 to 6 extra tables open for this thing. So that helped a ton. I mean, six extra tables, that's another 54 players seated. That's huge. I think if they had gotten 10 extra tables right from the get-go, this thing could have had like 1,200 entries. I know I would have fired another 2 or 3 bullets. Hopefully not 3, but I would have fired another couple bullets. So massive. This was their new single-day record. Final prize pool of over 300K. This ended in a 5-way chop. So this was chip leader Grant McGahee. He was the winner, and he took home almost $37,000 in his one-day $400 buy-in. That's amazing. So congratulations, Grant. 2nd place, Nisar Kurishi. 3rd place, Tian Yi Ma. 4th place, Thomas Duong. And 5th place in the chop, Daniel Gobriel. So congratulations, all of them taking home over 20 grand. 6th place on the final table, William Stetson. 7th place, Kurt Northrup. 8th place, Sandor Nagy. And 9th place, Benjamin Gilliam.
Good work, everyone. It's crazy how much bigger this could have been because I know there are many people that just chose not to rebuy because of the line. People got off the line. Like, Jarrah, as an example, just didn't even play. This could have been really, really big.
Yeah.
Although you might have to argue at the point with the demand if maybe the price point needs to go up. I don't know. It's honestly, it's crazy like how many people were here for this.
I would really just like to see them get their hands on more tables and make it bigger.
Yeah, I would love that too. Just
This
get,
was
you
a
know,
record for them with the tables they
I
got.
actually asked Jeff about that patio area that they had before that we used to play
Yeah, I
during
did
COVID,
too.
but
I did too.
apparently they use it for storage now or something, which is silly. But
And I had brought up, I had heard legend of them playing kind of out back where the break area is, and they're like, well, now they need cameras on all the tables, they need all this other stuff. They won't do that because man, if you could just put a bunch of tables in that tent they got set up in the back, that'd be another 8 tables. It'd be great.
Yep.
All right. So event number 4 that evening, the Legends of Poker 300 Mega Stack. This had 148 entries. I'm guessing it probably had a problem with tables or something, but everyone was beat there. But they ended up with 148 entries, ended with a 4-way chop. This chip leader was Justin Moon and his Labubu there, it looks like. He took home almost of 66.95 as the winner, and also in the chop was floorman Larry Cerebrani. So congratulations,
Larry.
Larry. So let's read them off. First place, Yi Moon. Second place, Ambartsum.
That's a hard.
Yeah,
that's a hard one.
Ambartsum Bislamian. Look, you jinxed me, man. Bislamian. Third place, Nicholas Olivetti, and then fourth place, Larry. Fifth place, Noctan Lee. Sixth place, George Elba. Seventh place, Michael Stella. Eighth place, Andre Ju. And ninth place, Takahiro Tamaya. So congratulations to all those in the final table. Apparently, we tagged the wrong person at first there, but it's all good. All right. So then the Sunday event, the 100K guarantee, $300 buy-in super stack. This had another massive crowd, 740 entries on Sunday. Wow. This had a final prize pool of 177,600, and this one made it all the way to the end, played to a winner. So I believe, the results won't go up. We won't start tabulating until they're up in Hendon, but I have to think that makes Mr. Mark Ross the current leader of our Player of the Year for this weekend. So congratulations. Enjoy it while it lasts, Mark. I think Aaron kept the top spot for a couple months once he got out to an early lead. So congratulations. We had a lot of notable names at this final table. I finally got my first cash of the series in this event as well. So congratulations, Mark Ross, first place, 31 grand. Guangzhou Li, second place, 20,000. Third place, Kevin French, 15,000. Fourth place, Fei Li for 11,000. Fifth place, Manrique Solorzano, 8,600. Sixth place, Quincy Weekly. Oh, Quincy, hey, congratulations, Q. 6,600. Seventh place, Mark Weinstein. I believe he has a banner. Is that right? 5,000. Eighth place, Mark Fiorentino. Well, we know he has 2 banners. 4,000.
2 banners.
Mr. 2 banners. And ninth place, Philip Saravan, 3,000. Lots of notables and blasters in this final table. Congrats, everyone.
I noticed in the picture that the bike has finally replaced those decrepit payout cards with these nice little plastic ones.
Yeah,
those are really nice.
Yep,
yeah.
They are. Yep, they go all the way down too. I got mine. My number, I think it was 49th, was one of those nice cards there.
Nice.
And then wrapping up.
I don't even know how those old ones lasted. They were like,
they were just
laminated
and pulling apart, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And the last event of the weekend, event number 6, Legends of Poker, was a $360 bounty, and that had 112 entries, and that ended in a 5-way chop. So chip leader at the time was Christopher Helms, and he took home almost 4K, which included bounties, I guess. So congratulations to Christopher Helms. The rest of this final table, second place, Abbas Deagi. Third place, Michael Danley. Hey, Mike Danley, way to go, Mike. He loves those bounties, man. Fourth place, Fat Win. Fifth place, Alden Patatanya. Sixth place, James Gallagher. Seventh place, Gerald Nakashi. Eighth place, Justin Escalante. And ninth place, Jose Mendoza. So congratulations to everyone in the final table. All right. I believe those are all the results. Now, we'll keep our eye open. When we see that Elvin will be coming in, which I have to imagine will be towards the mid to end of the series, we will schedule the handout of the trophy. So make sure you're there. It's going to be a fun time. All right, man, we're getting near the end here. I think it's time to talk about the weekend and jump into the roundup.
All right, let's go.
For some reason, I don't have the audio on. Hopefully that's just my headphones and you all were hearing it. All right. So this weekend, more of the bike. So right now, starting yesterday, the Big Four has kicked off. Today, on the Tuesday, they had 100 people in their, I believe, morning flight. I'm not sure how many in the afternoon flight. So it's off to a great start.
Yeah.
400K guarantee. Got to think they're going to smash it. If I recall, last year, this got to about 550, not quite 6, I think. So have to think it's going to be at least that, if not better. And, you know, I don't like pointing it out, but there's a double bag bonus, and it's quite hefty. So if you're able to play a lot, you may want to if you get an early bag, especially if you don't have a lot of chips. Also going on this week, starting Wednesday, there will be mixed events happening at 1 o'clock. So if you're a mixed game player, this is your time. 1 p.m. on Wednesday, Heroes. 1 p.m. on Thursday, Limit 8 EO. Is that's stud, right? 8 or is it? Okay, so I think it's stud and Omaha, 8 or better mix. You can tell I don't play them a lot. And then Friday, 1 p.m., Torse. These are all $500 buy-in events, so hop on in there. The mixed games start this week. And then on Sunday, for those of us unlucky enough, hopefully not me, to not make the day 2, there will be a $360 one-day 100K guarantee. So the rooms will be quite full. Get there early. That starts at 12. And day 2 of the Big Four will be going on as well. So that is what's happening at the bike this week. It's all about the Big Four. I can't wait to get in there. Love these non-quantum kickoff events, and should be fun. Should be huge.
Yeah, it's crazy with the turnout right now. Usually after the World Series, it's not like this. So this is interesting.
Yeah, well, you know, that first one day they run after the World Series, the last 2 years has been huge. It's always killed it. Yeah, that one's always been monster. But, you know, the other ones, we'll see. We'll see if the momentum sticks to these multi-days.
Yeah.
Because
getting 100
yeah.
on a Tuesday morning is,
Yeah, 100 is really good for that, for sure. No way. Yeah, I mean, we don't love the double bag bonuses. Not awesome. But I think for the Big Four especially, it's not going to hurt the guarantee. I think they're going to blow way past the guarantee, so we should be good there. Where it's going to hurt is when we start talking about like the classic, the 1K with their 8,000 bag bonus. That's when it's going to start to hurt.
I do wonder if the double bag bonus is now the smoking gun for the 1K. We'll see what happens, you know, because previously it feels like the 1Ks have underperformed at the bike, and really at this point the only difference is that double bag bonus, right? Like the structures are the same. Now it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, day 2 on Sunday.
Right. You mean as compared to the other venues like the Commerce 1K or the Gardens 1K?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the Gardens, right? Like they all blow out of the water, but it's not this one. Yeah, I would love to see Jeff experiment with a non-double bag bonus event just to see what happens with turnout.
Yep, we'll see. We will see. All right, heading over to Hollywood Park for this weekend. If you do not want to play over at the bike, which honestly, if you can do it Sunday, if you can afford that buy-in, that's going to be the place to be. But options this weekend at Hollywood Park, we are looking at, let's see, today's 22nd, so that means it's that weekend, the 25th, 26th. It looks like they have their standard tournaments. Friday, the TGIF Bounty with the 8K guarantee. Saturday and Sunday, they have the Bankroll Builder on Saturday, the 10K guarantee Bankroll Builder, and on Sunday, 5K Sunday Night Lights. So it looks like they have their kind of regular weekly fair happening over there. At Commerce, same thing, the regular events. I did not see any updated results to talk about from Commerce this week, but they have their regular events. And last weekend was nice. They did add 5K to the prize pool on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they did give out some chicken wings and some sodas and some other swag. You know, I scored me this cool Year of the Snake chip, card protector that I won't use because I have Bulby, but very cool. And it's nice to see them taking care of folks. And just to remind everyone, they are still accumulating points for their 25K free roll that's going to happen in early September. So if you don't have points and you're not qualified for that free roll and you'd like to be, get on over there. All right, and then heading over to Lucky Lady, their schedule, I believe, I didn't see anything special on their schedule. They will be doing their regular lineup of tournaments this weekend, which means heading into the weekend, you're looking at the 2K guarantee at 1 p.m. on Friday, the 10K guarantee on Friday at 6, Saturday at 3, and Sunday at 3. And those are not all uniform. The Friday at 6 p.m. is Wait, I'm so confused. The Friday at 6 p.m. is actually not bad. It's 100 plus 50 add-on if you want. That's a 10K guarantee. But the Saturday and Sundays are both 150 with 50 add-on. So you do get more chips on Saturday and Sunday, but guaranteed prize pool is the same. All right. That is what's going on this weekend. For us, definitely going to be at that Big Four. I'm going to get out there hopefully on Friday, and then hopefully I'll bag and I won't be there Saturday. But yeah, are you going? Oh, yeah, no way. Hawaiian Gardens is doing their dailies as well. I'm sorry. They just don't have any social media for them. They don't have any promotion. They don't. So the Hawaiian Gardens dailies are still going on. Best of my knowledge, their website's still accurate. They still have 2 on Friday, 1 on Saturday, 1 Sunday. So hop on over there. They're still running their events. I think they have slightly smaller but similar kind of setup. All right. Yeah, so I'll be there Friday. Are you going to be there Friday, Derek? Are you going to not be able to get there until Saturday?
I will be there. I should be there Friday. I'm actually going to maybe try to fire the Thursday evening one. We'll see. We'll see how my schedule is going.
Okay.
But yeah, I would also love to I think if I just bag once, I'm probably not going to go for the double bag unless I'm super short.
Yeah. Just bag and rest. I'm not. Now, if I were to bag immediately in the, and this is how dumb it is, it's the double bag in the classic is so good, I would consider trying to get it again if I bagged early, especially if my chip stack was below average. So, oof. We'll talk about that in a couple weeks, though. For now, we got the Big Four to focus on.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. And once again, thanks for Pads for jumping in and giving his opinions out there. It's really cool to hear the opinion of a high level pro. Just his thought process is really enlightening. It's really different from the way that most of us, especially us, casual recs and tryhards over here, the way we think about the game. So definitely cool. Hopefully we'll have him on again.
Super impressive poker brain there.
Yep. All right, guys. That's all we have for you this week. Good luck. Take care of yourselves. And hopefully you can get out to play at the bike, and we will see you at the tables, guys.
See you at the tables, everyone.